You're listening to the Cricket Podcast.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Cricket Podcast, where we're running through our predictions. Not the predictions, I suppose, our predictions for the 2023 Cricket World Cup. We are just about to get to the halfway stage, aren't we? We've got one team, and then we are at halfway. It's Sri Lanka. Ross is going to talk us through Sri Lanka. But before we get to that, wherever you're watching or listening, please do click like and subscribe. Also, we want to do a big push as we run up to the World Cup and as we go through the World Cup to get our review numbers up. We've looked around and we want some more reviews, 5-star only, of course. So head over to Spotify or YouTube, particularly those two, because SEO reasons, and click review. Give us 5 stars. Do it on both. They don't care. Tech companies, do they? You're helping the little guy. We're the little guy. Ross, should we talk Sri Lanka? They're kind of a little guy, aren't they? Or are they a big guy? They're a World Cup winner. Where do they place? Talk to me.
So, Sri Lanka, and I like that what you're wearing today, Jack, is you're kind of representing the Sri Lankan colours in the old yellow and blue. So Sri Lanka, yeah, absolutely. My webcam's not working for some reason because my laptop is so very old, so that's why I'm on this other one. So we have Captain Dasan Shanaka, who averages 22 in ODI cricket, so he's pretty much the specialist captain in this lineup. I wouldn't say his bowling's up to much either, really, an average of nearly 40. He is supported by Kusal Mendez, who does really have a bit about him and is a talented player. They are coached by famous man Spoons, as he's well known, which is Chris Silverwood. So England listeners will definitely know of him, and he's had a bit of a resurgence after being almost chased out of town by England for underperformance. The former Essex man has done a very, very good job with the Sri Lankans. They are yet to release their kit, which I don't know why. But I'm imagining it's going to be a nice blue and yellow number, hopefully with some kind of animal print on it as per usual. So that's what I would anticipate. That's what I'd anticipate. I'm not sure why they're keeping it to the end like it's some big surprise, or perhaps they're just going to use last World Cup's kit. I don't know. So that's a bit frustrating, really, if I'm perfectly honest. I quite like the kit.
It's nice doing a kit review, yeah.
Yeah, their road to World Cup. So they finished 10th in the Super League, which meant they had to go through the World Cup qualifying tournament. It was a disappointing campaign for them, only 7 wins and 14 losses. They came through the qualifiers, however, in style. So they won all 9 of their games in the Zimbabwe-based tournament, and they genuinely they were a cut above the rest. So their spinners were just too good and too hot to handle. So Hasaranga and Theekshana in particular, both with 22 and 21 wickets apiece. And Karunaratne did the job that you typically expect Karunaratne to do with the bat. I think he got about 369 runs. So coming into this, they've done okay. If you take into consideration their performances in the Asia Cup, they got to the final of that again, where they duly then embarrassed themselves against India. But I think there's a bit here where they've got something about them, this Sri Lankan team, and that is what is exciting for me. They have had, let's be fair, bad luck with injuries in 2023. So if we were to think around their likely 11, Hasaranga is not going to be there. He's been ruled out with a hamstring injury, he's likely to have to undergo surgery. And then pacer Kamira, who IPL fans will know, the pacer, he's not around either. So they've still got options, which is a good thing. And I think these injuries that happened during or before the Asia Cup have actually almost given some of the backup options the ability to go, do you know what, I can actually play at this level, which is, as we know, is really, really important. I mean, they took down Pakistan. So opening up, they'll have Karunaratne and either kind of Nissanka or Kusal Perera. I think that Kusal Mendez is kind of in that mix. So between those 4, or opposite, pretty much take up the top 3 spots. They've got Sama Wickrama, who's done okay, I think, in Sri Lankan colours. And then the blitzkrieg that Bangladesh don't really have. This is kind of where Asalanka kind of fits in. I think in terms of Dhananjaya De Silva, proven on more than one occasion he is more than adept. Then you've got the specialist captain who'll bat himself at kind of 6, 7 or 8, there's probably going to be 7 in this lineup in Shanaka. I genuinely can't believe it. Failing upwards is one of those things that happens in football managers and Sri Lankan cricketers, by clearly. They've got junior slow left armour in Wellalaga, and you've then got the spin options of Hemantha or Theekshana, and then you're going to have Mudashan or I think it's Rajita, and then I think they're going to have to play Malinga 2.0 or Baby Malinga, right, in Patarana.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's going to get his proper World Cup debut. And I think out of that lineup, Jack, they've got a decent amount of talent there. I think there is some passengers, but less passengers than some of the other teams. And I think they've got intent, which is going to be absolutely critical in this World Cup because teams are raging forward. And as we know, Sri Lanka are the initial intent merchants from the 1990s, right? So
yeah, they've kind of surged up for people who are in the know, the hipsters, cricket hipsters. Sri Lanka are now like a name that people are whispering as a dark horse. So in the last show, Ross, while you were in Vegas, we wrote off New Zealand as this year's dark horse. We said no. We also wrote off.
Check it out back, bolt in the back of the head, was it?
We said South Africa, they're the light horse. Like we don't think they're we're looking for a dark horse. I'm looking at the Sri Lanka side and I'm thinking, there is something horse-like about them.
Yeah,
much like in horse racing, Datsun Shanaka is kind of like a jockey. He's just there for the ride, steering things. So it works quite well. What are the strengths and weaknesses, do you reckon? Or talk me through some strengths, because you give me the 11 there. How is this team going to win cricket matches?
So I think they've got an actually really well-rounded bowling lineup. I think they've got the kind of enough in there to offer both up front in the overs of taking early wickets. I think they can actually control the middle overs as well quite nicely, and they've got people who can actually probably do the death overs as well in that space. So I think that because they've got that rounded lineup, they're going to be able to challenge teams and probably limit a couple of the bigger boys as well, who actually will be able to then chase down the kind of 350 mark. They've got people who know how to bat for a long time. They've got 2 people who have been there and done it, and they faced the international bowlers that they're going to be facing again. I think that's kind of a big part of it. And I also think they've got the flexibility to actually move some of these batters around and show that intent of where they need to. I think what's always important in kind of World Cups, especially when there potentially could be rain or whatever, it's very important to be able to have that flexibility to take advantage of those situations. So I really like the balance of this 15. I like the potential options that they leave themselves open to, especially with kind of slow left armers, leg spinners in there, and mystery spin in terms of Theekshana. I think the only part here is maybe it's not the out and out pace. I think like missing a Chimera is a loss in that space. And you look at some of the other teams, they've got that, but that's not to say that Madison and Patarana aren't going to be able to kind of offer that. I just think they needed an out and out kind of 90-mile-an-hour bowler, which unfortunately has been injured. So they've got 2 warm-up games. So we'll see if we're any close to the 11 that kind of plays. And then they open up against South Africa. Right, and I think that is an eminently winnable game based upon what we've seen.
So after a brief tech interruption there, Ross is going to finish off his summary of Sri Lanka. You were about to say that they were going to whip South Africa in the first game. So talk me through that. How's that going to happen?
I just think it's
the dark horses whipping the light horses.
Yeah, I just think it's one of those games that is winnable. I think sometimes you have seen South Africa start slowly, sometimes, and the occasion gets to some of their players. Maybe not with the current crop that they've got, but there's definitely the opportunity there. If they're opening up against India or they're opening up against England, I'm not saying they've got a great chance, purely on what we've seen before. But yeah, with here, I think I like this Sri Lanka side. I would not bet against them to be making the semi-finals of this World Cup.
That's Well, look, it could happen. It could happen. I mean, I probably wouldn't go that far. I think that they have a bit of a weakness in terms of their fragility with the bat. And I think you have to, like, 9 matches. It's so many games, and so many of the teams are good. Even if they're all slightly in disarray because nobody plays ODI cricket anymore and they're all working it out on the fly. But I just don't see that they'll have the consistency. I think they can beat everybody. Like, they've got a decent chance of beating everybody, but they've also got a decent chance of losing to everybody. I think we said in the Netherlands preview, that Netherlands are basically they've got 3 bites at probably potentially winning a match. Doesn't mean they've got a really good chance of any of them, but we had Sri Lanka down as one of the teams they could beat. That doesn't necessarily mean I'm saying that Sri Lanka are one of the worst 3 teams in the tournament. I just think their volatility is so crazy that, you know, they can do what they did to Pakistan and then 3 days later be bowled out for 50 by India. It's not because India are miles better than Pakistan, although they probably are better. It's just that Sri Lanka have got that range. Like, I
agree. I agree. You know, like like Brian Lara cricket.
Yeah, they've got no flaw in terms of how bad they could be. I mean, not in terms of that's a like a defect flaw. Like, the floor that they stand on doesn't exist. Like, it's just free fall in one direction. However, the ceiling I do think is very high. I think that if all things go right, they could skittle a team with mystery spinners and cause loads of problems. And as you said, they've got some batting as well. Do you want to round off with a mystery animal or a spirit animal, or have you got anything else you'd like to say on a cricketing footing?
I just think that there's definitely going to be that opportunity for some of their players to just almost stake a good claim to teach. We've seen how good he is in franchise cricket, and I think being able to see him on kind of the world stage is going to be really exciting for some of their players. I think because Hasaranga is such a big loss, I think it's that part of semi-finals might well be too far for them. I think if they had someone like him in there, he just offers a little bit more with the bat, way more with the ball, and kind of balances out a little bit. But yeah, it's time for some of the other people to kind of step up in that space. I've actually just kept it simple, Jack, and kind of gone. I didn't know what Sri Lanka's national animal was. And
just make one up.
They've got something called the Panthera Leo, and I just thought that I don't know what it is. We don't know how Sri Lanka are going to perform. Like, it's a complete mystery. So we're going to hopefully take whatever creature they've got by the horns, as I can imagine it has, we'll see how they do in this tournament. But we were cheering on the bang bus, but we are definitely behind the Sri Lankans this tournament.
Do you want to know what a Panthera Leo is?
Yeah, why not?
It's a lion. It's just a lion. You've just said the Latin word for lion. So it kind of works though from a meta perspective, doesn't it? Like, if you don't really know what they're bringing, say it in a different language, and maybe something else will happen. That doesn't make any sense at all. Look, for me, last thought, I just think Hasaranga being out is a death sentence for their team. But yeah, what are you going to do?
We shall see.
What are you going to do? Injuries happen. We'll take a break and we will come back with more cricket.